From schools to lodging, youth programs to hotspot diners, countless advertisements, movies, TV shows, and plays. Just few of the many outcomes adopting their identity and culture from Mark Twain's 1885 addition to American literature, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. Mark Twain, born Samuel Longhorn Clemens, took his first breaths in a small town of Florida, Missouri. The year was 1835. Living in a southern state, Twain was introduced to the ideologies of slavery and other unfair treatment towards blacks at a young age, and often revisited those themes in his writing. At age 11, his father died, and Twain dropped out of school to help support the family. A year later, he became a printer's apprentice, working as a typesetter and contributor to articles and funnies for the Hannibal Journal. When he was 18, he left to work for other newspapers in places like New York City and Philadelphia, familiarizing himself with the East Coast. Later, he joined the Union. In his spare time, he remained in public libraries where he was able to educate himself. With the freedom to explore the content of his choice, he was exposed to a greater variety of information and perspectives compared to what he would have gotten in traditional schooling. One of his preferred interests was travel. He met with his brother Orion, and the two traveled west on stagecoach, across the Great Plains, through the Rocky Mountains, Utah, and Nevada. These experiences were directly reflected in Twain's work. Huckleberry Finn and Tom Sawyer constantly expressed their desires to travel west into the Indian Territory and beyond. Later, Twain was able to travel the world, visiting many continents, but the place that held his heart was the mighty Mississippi River, the largest North American river system running from northern Minnesota to the Gulf of Mexico.
The Mississippi River will always have its own way. No engineering skill can persuade it to do otherwise.
Mark Twain interruption. The story is one about a young boy named Huckleberry Finn and his ambitious journey to find himself, morally, in a pre-Civil War Southern society filled with racial injustices, narrated by Huck himself. The novel immediately establishes a separation between Mark Twain and Huckleberry Finn by having Finn comment on Twain's previous work, explaining the false prerequisite that the reader must know the preceding novel, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, to understand this one. The novel begins in St. Petersburg, a fictional town along the Mississippi, somewhere around 1840. Huck explains that he currently lives with a woman named the Widow Douglas and her sister Miss Watson. They try to civilize Finn, but he respectfully rejects. Quote, "The Widow Douglas, she took me for her son, and allowed she would civilize me. I couldn't stand it no longer. I lit out." After leaving, Tom finds Huck and convinces him to return to St. Petersburg and join his gang. Before the gang could carry out any heist, Huck's father, Pap, returns to town and gains full custody of Huck. Pap is an alcoholic and gambler, and constantly attempts to take his son's small fortune, but fails, and resolves to abusing him. Eventually, Huck is able to fake his own death and escape the house his father kept him in. He runs to a nearby island where he sets about his adventures. The rest of the novel follows Huckleberry Finn through his journey to find his true moral compass and whatever his heart perceives as success. The unique writing style is amongst one of the prominent vindications The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn is such a considerable addition to American literature. Twain, a mature and competent man, writes the story through a partially educated Southern boy who acts very mature and competent. A New York analyst describes Twain's writing as humorous, intelligent, and ironic, and he quotes, "Twain is at the top of his game in The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn." Although The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn has received seemingly infinite praise, it has come into a great deal of controversy. American school boards, public libraries, and critics alike have claimed that Twain devolved slavery and the racism at that time. Dallas News calls it one of the nation's most hotly debated and challenged books. According to the American Library Association, it was the 5th most frequently challenged book from 1990 to 1999. Many school boards have banned it due to the repeated use of the N-word, stating that we are past that now. There are other, more effective and less offending ways to teach students about Southern history. Dropping to number 14 on the most frequently challenged books list from 2000 to 2009, it continues to gain acceptance from more schools and libraries as time elapses.